Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining our webinar today. I'm Henna. I'm on the product marketing team here at TripActions. We'll go ahead and give everyone just a few minutes to hop on and then we'll get started. In the meantime, feel free to share in the chat where you're logging in from. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So if you're just signing on, my name is Henna. I'm on the product marketing team at TripActions. We are an all-in-one travel, corporate card, and expense management solution. I'm dialing in from New York City. I'm very excited to be joined by Nathaniel, one of our amazing customers, who's a finance manager at Amperity. If you could share a bit more about your role, your background, and Amperity.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess start with Amperity. We're a CDP, which is an interesting space customer data platform, but we help customers use their first party data to serve their customers is ultimately what it comes down to. A lot of customers just have data from different silos and they aren't sure exactly how to do it, and we're able to pull it together and make it a much more actionable asset as opposed to a bit of a mess that you want to hide in the closet and think that it's not there. As far as myself, started off Big Four accounting with tax, but moved into more operational type roles and just love startup culture. Building companies is something that I'm very passionate about, and was able to find Amperity early on, and I've been along for the ride ever since. So I've been there about 4 years. As far as my current role, I'm more in the operational type world. I'm in charge of AP payroll, or historically I've really touched everything, but currently more work in the AP payroll, treasury, tax side of things.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Cool. So want to dive into the challenges piece. What is the number one challenge you personally want to overcome this year for your team?
Yeah. Well, often on this, I'd say two spaces really, but first off, it's getting the right people in the door, hiring, and not just from a talent perspective, but from the fit that the team needs. And I think that's number one. And then the other thing is making sure that we are helping communicate to the business where we need to put our efforts to save money, and specifically in the operating costs perspective. Compute costs, data costs are very high on our list, and so being able to identify what customers are creating the most pain in that area is really helpful, because then we figure out whether it's an engineering problem or whether it's a user error or the way that we're inputting data, and we can then go troubleshoot it from there. So those are the two spaces that are most important for us.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of folks on this call can relate to that as well. At a very high level, how has your finance team changed in light of the events of the past 2 years?
Yes, the last 2 years. We've always been a very digital company. We didn't do any work on paper, really. So our processes per se didn't change, but where our collaboration changed quite a bit. And so how we connected, what tools we used, it's difficult feeling together as a team, as opposed to being able to look right over your shoulder and say something to someone. I'd say Mural has been a really nice tool that we've used just from a collaboration perspective, but I think having some just scheduled touch points as a team has been really important. Otherwise, you can kind of disappear for weeks and not talk to someone if you're not real intentional about it. So we just had some scheduled touch points, and then utilized a few collaboration tools to stay together as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. Even from a marketing perspective, I love Mural. Doesn't exactly replace whiteboarding in person, but it's kind of as close as you can get in a digital world. So I definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that Amperity is a startup. How does having a lean team impact how you approach making technology purchase decisions?
Yes, boy. So there are a lot of good tools out there, and I'd say not only do we have to pick something that's going to like, get us the answers we need or solve or do the process we need, but it ultimately needs to be light touch. And so if someone on our team needs to go get a PhD in this product, then it's going to be not a great fit. And vice versa for any users as well in the company. If it needs something that has a big user guide with hours of training for them to get up to speed on it, it's not going to be a good fit. So I was just here or watching a conversation on LinkedIn the other day, and they said, if your product needs a user guide, then you built it wrong. And so that resonates a lot with me and what our team ultimately needs. So finding something that's light touch, intuitive, and doesn't require a big fat user guide is critical to what we need as a startup.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you think about things like expense reports and how like that is kind of almost like like finance can kind of have that like customer service role for your employees. So it's how can you make it as easy for them to fill those out? And then ultimately, how does your team benefit from not having to focus on manual workflows in your day to day? So I love that.
Yeah.
How does kind of automation factor into how you prioritize technology?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, we had an old process for expense reports where we would have people, like, we had a folder created on a shared drive, and then they'd have to drop their receipts in there. And so that means they have to take a picture of them or however they get it into electronic form, and then they have to summarize it themselves. And then we would have to manually go in there, enter in our accounting software. Anyway, it was all sorts of painful to get that done. And when you're small and you've got 40 people in the company, it's not a big deal. But when you're getting up into the multiple hundreds, then those processes obviously break. And as well as anything that doesn't have a clear, the intuitive process as part of it, that means you're going to get questions. And anytime you're running into questions from the employees using the process, that slows you down in whatever you're doing and just creates a lot of churn. So, or just chop in your day. And so really trying to minimize that. Anything that is smooth and intuitive is critical. And anyway, we just have to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the best part about automation, obviously, is getting that time back in your day to just focus energy elsewhere. What have you and your team been able to focus more on as a result of kind